Hi, folks. This is Dr. Kat Schreier, your Web Tribe Guide. You can find me on webtribeguide.com. And if you're here, chances are it's because you came to webtribeguide.com. Maybe you heard about me in Alex Mendocian's Hangout or wherever, and you went to the website and found this. And by the time you see this, hopefully I will have fixed this. But initially, what people found when they went to WebTribe Guide was this page created in leadpages.net. And what they would see, let's pull this up here, is WebTribeGuide.com's free report reveals the 5 best tools for online community engagement so you can build a tribe, not just a list. Download free report, and you put in an email, a name, and whatever, and you get this 404 message, which kind of sucks. But anyway, so there we go. Pulling back here. I want to apologize for that, for those who were trying to download the report. But this whole thing, Web Tribe Guide, it has just really taken off very quickly. Essentially, I mean, I had come up with the idea a while back of really finding a way to capture the best of what I had seen as people, particularly in in the education space, and especially in the personal development, transformation, online education space, what was working and what wasn't working, and how to help people who are creating these amazing experiences transition that into an online space, and how to connect with their community to, well, I call it transcending the boundaries of space and time, and really getting yourself out of your own way and being able to reach a larger audience, capturing that experience that normally you would have face-to-face, belly-to-belly in the room. And I was seeing a lot of that, and doing that not only in the transformation space, but also in the space that I had been working with. And let me tell you first, and I do want to share with you some of these tips. So basically, that report that I was going to do, I started putting some things together, and then of course I started working with actual coaches, and realizing that there's a lot more that I want to say than I'm going to fit in a report, at least one that I'm going to do right now. And I'm actively engaged in working with, well, since my birthday, July 8th, when I decided I was going to just stop what I was doing before and focus 100% on Web Tribe Guide, I have worked with 4 coaches fairly closely on helping them figure out how to take what they have done in person, whether on one-on-one clients or workshops, masterminds, big online courses or big courses, weekend programs, live events, and transfer that to an online environment and or with live events. And I do want to point out that having a web tribe does not mean that you don't meet with people in person. In fact, the two go very well together. To continue to have key live events, you just don't have to have them all the time, because you can have a lot of your interaction with people online, and then they can also interact with you across time zones. And again, just this idea of transcending space and time. So that was sort of the origin of Web Tribe Guide. It has, like I said, it has just evolved very quickly. So I am moving into just something that can be as fast as the evolution of online engagement, which for me is video. It's an opportunity to just kind of capture what I've seen and share it with you as fast as possible, rather than sitting and writing it out and trying to get all the graphics right and taking that additional time. So if you'll forgive me for not having that downloadable document just yet, I will be putting something together, because I made a few notes here. Here's an important point. Having a tribe, let's see if I can get rid of the glare. Having a tribe means having a relationship. Having a tribe, as opposed to having a list, means having a relationship. Which, for some of you, okay, you're running out of the room right now. That idea of connecting with people, and honestly, that's not my forte, but really having a healthy relationship and connecting with the people who want to work with you, that you want to work with, you really are having a relationship there. So the things that we talk about with Web Tribe Guide are how you can use these online tools to support that relationship. And I did actually want to address this idea of, first of all, if you're going to be online, you want to check that your website's function. That is more important than looking pretty. It's got to be easy to navigate. So from that perspective, imagery is important. People do communicate visually, and there's a lot that you can do with visuals and layout of the site that represent motion, with tapping into that kinesthetic side of how people learn. But so all of that is important when you think about your website. But most important, if someone puts their name and address into your site, that it goes to the list. Which, by the way, if you did put your name and address in, it didn't go anywhere. So and I really don't have anything to sell right now. Basically, what I'm doing is coming out of the consulting world. I'm using a total immersion approach right now. I am focusing essentially on one client and actually having my clients provide room and board so that I can fully experience and work with them very closely on what it is that they do, how does their work fit within their life, what they enjoy, what they don't enjoy, how they interact with their clients, how they interact online currently, and work with them to find something that's going to be authentic to them. So I don't have a lot of time to spread myself too thin among a whole bunch of different people. So I am going to try to come up with a way to engage with people on a regular basis, and that will be an opportunity to reach a broader audience. I'm happy to set up strategy sessions, and these really will be strategy sessions. I can't do too many of them, but if you want to get with me on a call, on a hangout, on a Zoom, Skype, whatever works for you, we can do that and chat a little bit about how to get what you're doing now online and how to turn your list into a tribe. I'm going to do that for free. Just it's fun for me, and it gives me a better understanding of the industry and who's doing what. So I'm happy to do that as I'm able to do so. So if you come here expecting to download a document, now you have an opportunity to actually have a conversation, which ultimately I think is better. And eventually that's going to be replaced with a PDF. But for now, since you are one of the first to come to this site, that's what you get. You get me. Let me just back up a little bit and tell you a little bit about two things. One is who I am, and the other is how Web Tribe Guide got started. So as far as me, Dr. Kat Schreier, and yes, I am a doctor, a PhD, not a medical doctor. I say that I was the only woman in my family who's not an MD. You know why? No patience. Unfortunately, kind of true sometimes, but I've learned to be more patient over the years, and Zen and all that kind of stuff. But but I do have a PhD from Colorado State University in water resources planning, essentially doing decision support systems, helping people get an understanding of where they are, their baseline assessment, where they want to go, their goals, their objectives, what criteria they use to decide how to get from here to there, what metrics to help them keep on track, and how to evaluate alternative paths to go from point A to point B, which kind of sounds a lot like coaching, but with a lot more time in school and tuition and having a defense, all this other stuff. So I've been doing that for a long, long time, and I've been doing water planning, and even before the water planning, in the policy arena, just different ways of bringing people together in community, and typically in person, trying to get them to come in person to a meeting, a workshop, a conference, a rally, whatever. And as the technology, and this goes back, let's see, I worked for the first time in a state legislator's office in 1985. So it's been 30 years. And as the technology evolved over the last 3 decades, there were more and more opportunities to include people in the room without them actually physically being there, and just all the logistics and the time and the cost, and in some cases actual physical danger associated with travel. I mean, we're not living in Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, and you know, we don't have to worry about marauders coming in and attacking our caravan and whatever, but sometimes it's actually dangerous to travel. You know, if you're living up in the mountains, and I was leading a water planning meeting once in outside of Colorado Springs in the Arkansas River Basin, and there were people who actually held the water agency accountable for the death of a couple of their board members, because there was a hearing on the other side of the Continental Divide, and the plane crashed. They had their own plane crashed because they were going to testify about an incident. I mean, you know, I mean, that's kind of an extreme example, but it's serious. There are sometimes reasons why people don't travel to a live event. And you know, if there are ways to engage people online, there can be a lot of benefits. It opens up opportunities for people who have physical disabilities, mental health disabilities, anxiety, whatever, around travel, around being in a large crowd, what have you. But also, and also, it just allows us to connect more with more people who are like-minded people, are psychographic, people who think and care about the things that we think and care about. Again, it's not always a replacement for live events, and in fact, the two really do complement each other, because by the time you actually get in the room with them, guess what? You already have that relationship started through your online engagement. So, by the way, I have a bunch of these cards here. These Alex Mendoza uses these. They're helpful, but I'm just kind of going off at this point. Where Web Tribe Guide started is I had been working my way up to the upper echelons of this consulting firm. They had transferred me up to Calgary to work on these big oil sands projects. And towards the end of the 2 years there, and deciding whether I was going to continue with this firm, which was the only way that I could stay in Canada on my work permit, I'm from the US, I was deciding whether to stay or not. And starting to kind of dabble in personal development. I had had some surgery, and before I went into surgery, I knew I was going to be cooped up for several weeks learning how to walk again. And I bought my very first personal development book. It was Cheryl Richardson's You Can Live Your Life, or I'm probably screwing up the name, but anyway, somebody knew that I was doing that, and they gave me a ticket to this program called this Personal Best Seminars program with Jay Fizzette, and I saw what he was doing, and just that awareness of myself and how I interacted with other people, and also watching how he was facilitating from the very get-go, you know, because that was something that I used to do and still do. So it was really interesting to me, that whole dynamic. That whole, what I later learned was the experiential learning model of really engaging the people in the room, as opposed to just lecturing to them, which of course is the more of an academic model. And anyway, one of the things that came out of that work was a decision that, yes, I was going to go back in the States. And unfortunately, it was right in time when I had become part of the larger community. So there was, in addition to the classroom stuff, there was a building that the company had, and a lounge and a coffee shop, and people would just go and meet, and they would engage with other people who would come from the same, who had been working on the same stuff. And so there was this community. And at the time, this was 2007, Jay was just starting to think about, to make a commitment to take his company more into an online space and expand his reach beyond these physical belly to belly in the room programs. I hadn't quite figured out how he was going to do that, but he had set that goal. And I said, okay, you do that, I'm going to sign up for your full package, all the things that you offer in your coaching and facilitator development and coaching certification and everything. Moved back to the States, and there were programs, and this was back when video was all pixelated and doing video conferencing. Screens kept locking up and everything. We were switching over to conference calls on our little mastermind groups, because otherwise we would spend most of the time trying to figure out whose screen was working and whose wasn't. But that obviously improved over time. And so what happened was we would have the online engagement, regular monthly webinars and masterminds and everything, but there was still that requirement to go back up to Canada, to Alberta, Calgary, and Edmonton. Long trips. There were no direct flights from Washington, D.C., where I was living, up there. So it really kind of, sometimes your passion comes from your pain. And so for me, it was a real pain in the ass to have to fly back up to Canada all the time, anytime I wanted to be part of this community. So that was really a big motivator for me to identify what was working. And I was also looking at, at the same time, there was this whole evolution occurring within the personal development, transformational space of people who were figuring out how to use tools, and especially the things that were free or essentially free, from private Facebook groups, which could become online classrooms, to Hangouts, which could be used for small groups, or for broadcasting instead of going into a TV studio. So there was a lot of exciting opportunities to reach people using these different online tools. And what I like to do with Web Tribe Guide, I do have a bunch of notes here of things that I can recommend, but I'd like to start piecing these out because I know this video is already getting a little on the long side. Jeff Walker says it can never be too long, it can only be too boring, but I don't want to bore you. So I will run through these really quickly at the end, a few pointers that I had jotted down. But essentially that's where Web Tribe Guide came from, is really trying to understand who was doing it right, whether they did it intentionally or not. There's a phenomenon that occurred with a group called Joint Ventures Insider Circle, where because it was about joint ventures, and because this is Milana Lashinsky and Rich German's group, even before they started the program, they were encouraging people to go on Facebook and engage with each other and to find other joint venture partners, and people who are doing common things who might eventually be a good joint venture partner. You don't necessarily have to have a formal agreement in place, just to say, hey, it would be really cool to work together. And people started connecting just right away, just right off the bat, and having conversations, and which Facebook is really good as a location to do that. It goes directly to your phone. There are people who don't like Facebook, but you know what? The folks at Facebook know how to get people to engage in a way that I haven't seen on Google+. Google+, to me, it is just promotion. Every notification I get is somebody promoting event that they're doing. And although I shouldn't say anything not nice about them, because obviously they're, it says Google up at the top of the screen. Google owns YouTube. To do Hangouts, you got to use Google. But as a community space, some people do prefer Google Plus or LinkedIn also for more professional type gatherings. Both of those really work sometimes. For me, Facebook is a preference, although it is tricky to make sure that when I go to Facebook, I don't get lost in the cat videos and the other posts and everything else. Sometimes it's a good way for me to kind of turn off my brain a little bit and go to Facebook for a little bit and watch what other videos people have posted, and I find some really cool stuff there. But it takes some discipline to use Facebook as a professional platform, and especially as a way to create your own private group on Facebook. Yes, people might be, there might be ads down the side. You know what? Live with it. What else was I going to say? So yeah, that was kind of, I saw that there was that need in the industry. There were opportunities. There were people who were doing it right, and I wanted to have an outlet for myself to really delve into that. I mean, I come out of this academic experience not just because I wanted to have a PhD, but I really enjoy studying how things get done, identifying patterns, and sharing that with people. And that's essentially what education is about, I think. So that's what we're doing in Web Tribe Guide, is seeing what's going on in terms of people who are creating a healthy relationship with their tribes, converting from a list to a tribe, converting from in-person experiences to online experiences and online relationships. That's what we're doing in Web Tribe Guide. Things that I wanted to point out, a few quick pointers. By the way, this is one of them. Check that your, did I ever put this one up? I can't remember. Check that your websites function. Because if you are sending people to a site, you want to make sure that it, again, it doesn't have to look pretty, but make sure that it functions. Your first freebie, that was that, that 5 top tips or whatever. I was in a class with someone named Bob Jenkins, who Bob the teacher, who has since been, who's doing a lot with Leadpages, and since has been hired by Leadpages.net, which is different from just Leadpages in general. Leadpages.net, which is has templates and makes it just really easy to quickly put up sites, but you do have to make sure that, what I just showed you was made in Leadpages. You do have to make sure that it actually links to your contact resource management system, your CRM, so that it goes on your list. You do need to have a list of some sort. And but anyway, so Bob had a class, and what a lot of the best people in this online education space do is, the first time they want to teach something, they will create a beta class, and usually it is at a significant discount. It has much more in-person interaction online with the instructor than you might get later when they just record, post the recording and sell the recorded class. If you ever have an opportunity, this is something I learned at Dartmouth, is if there's an amazing teacher and they teach something, chances are you're going to learn something, whether you think you're interested in the topic or not. So just, if it's an amazing teacher, go for it. So I was learning about how to best use these freebies on a lead page, these lead magnets, from a guy who was working for Leadpages, and he had this template. This is a modified version that I did for one client, where it's just one page. It's really easy for people to download. Again, this is just a draft, but there's text. There's too much text on here. This is you can have links on there. You can have some images on there. You can see there's some images on there. But what you want to do with your first freebie, if you have a homepage that is that starts with a lead magnet, It starts with an opt-in and a download my free report. That's one way to go. Is you know, you don't have to give them this big long report. You don't have to go say, oh, you know, what are all the free things that I have, and I'll give them something. See if you can actually come up with something that starts a conversation. It says, you know, this is who I am, and so who I am is about Web Tribe Guide. And so if I wanted to come up with 5 core beliefs, what are the things that I tell people over and over and over again? You know, those are the things. What do you tell people over and over again? Jot some of those down. Put those into your core beliefs, your top 5, your top 3, whatever is going to work for you. That gives them a sense of what they're going to get if they work with you, and just who you are and what you believe in. So think of that freebie as a way of just planting your flag in the sand and saying, you know, this I believe. By the way, NPR did that. I worked through there was a course at my church, actually, where we were doing a course that went with the NPR program called This I Believe. And what it was about was people would just come up with a very short essay that they would read on the radio of one core belief. And so if you look up thisibelieve.com, by the way, I tend to throw out a lot of ideas of, you know, names of people or names of websites. Doesn't mean that I'm an affiliate. And in fact, I tend to sign up for a lot of affiliate arrangements and do sometimes try to send that out. But generally, it's kind of a pain in the ass for me sometimes to go get the affiliate link and figure out how to integrate it into the copy and yada, yada, yada. A lot of times, if I'm in a hurry, I will just, like I said, no patience. I will just promote things that I think are good things, whether I'm an affiliate or not. So you don't have to worry about me just trying to promote something just because I think I'm going to get money out of it, because I'm not. I don't have the time to go create a bunch of bonuses just so I can compete with all the people who have lots of great bonuses already. If you want to use my affiliate link, if I have one, you know, we'll work something out with a, you know, strategy session, something like that. But anyway, so where was I? So that first freebie starts a conversation. Another tip: start a regular outlet, and you know, just pick a platform. If it's a blog, if it's video. This is something, by the way, just because I recommend something doesn't mean I do it. This is something I would like to do. It could be a show. It could be a radio show. It can be a you know, hangout show. It can be highly produced. You can have a theme song and an extra and an outro and all this other stuff. Or you can just start writing a blog, or do what Jeff Walker does and, you know, just have a video blog. But to think about this as essentially as a date, as a way of continuing that relationship on an ongoing basis, of feeding that relationship. Think of it like calling your parents once a week when you go away to college, or taking your husband, wife, partner out for date night, or girls' night out, boys, you know, boys' night out, whatever. You know, meeting a friend for coffee once a month, sending out a Christmas card, whatever, you know, that you just have that periodic time when you just kind of get caught up, and it's a time to share. Think about like going to see a shrink. My mother was a shrink, so so she would take me to a psychiatrist on a regular basis. Yeah, you'll see, I'm a little crazy, but you know, you kind of get used to just having that outlet to, you know, say, hey, talk about what you want, whatever you want, and it doesn't have to be hard. And in fact, if you know that you're going to have, I mean, for me, if I know that I'm going to have a regular time to catch up with someone, I start thinking about it. It's like, okay, you know, I know I'm going to go have dinner at my brother's once a month. I'm going to see my nieces and nephews. And I'll start seeing, oh, you know what? Hey, I think my nephew would like this. I think my niece would like that. And I start collecting a little pile of toys or something and bring it the next time we get together. It really gets to be something like that, where because I know I'm going to see you guys on a regular basis, I don't know yet if it's going to be once a week, once a month, every other week. We'll figure this out. But I know that I'm going to start seeing things that I'm going to want to share. And I believe that you're going to find that as well. If you come up with some kind of regular outlet and you think, you know, if I've got something to say, this is a chance to connect with my tribe. So rather than getting all worked up about this idea of, oh my God, I got to have a show, I got to have a theme over, you know, and you can do that also. There are benefits to promoting an entire series rather than just doing things one at a time. And I had something called Water Citizen Media that we were really exploring how we could do that, how we could tell our stories rather than on a news site, do it through video, and that it took as much work to promote a series as it did to promote an individual show. So there are some definite advantages to having a series like a 13-part, 8-part, 5-part, whatever series versus doing things one at a time. Or you can just have it on an ongoing basis. And then, you know, every time you do the little thing that Jeff Walker does at the end, if you're watching this anywhere other than jeffwalker.com and yada, yada, yada. Like us, share us, put us on Facebook, put your comments below. That just gives you that chance to reconnect with the people who are following you. And again, turn your list into a tribe. One of the things I'm doing here, look at the camera and, you know, really connect with folks. You know, this isn't something that was made up by Alex Mandossian. People have been doing this for a long time, since the early days of television, even before that on stage, you know, sort of breaking that fourth wall and talking to the audience. But, you know, I call it doing the Mr. Rogers thing, of actually making a connection with people by looking at them, you know, making eye contact. And when you can, use your names. There was a kids show where I grew up called the Magic Garden. And it was 2 women would come out playing guitar and we'd like to say hello, hello, and how are you? And they'd say, you know, we want to say hello to Bobby and Susie and Catherine. And, you know, if they said your name, oh my God, you'd start jumping up and down, bouncing off the sofas like, that's in my name. You know, I mean, people really appreciate having that recognition and having that connection that you actually acknowledge them on camera. So when that opportunity comes up, make eye contact and acknowledge people on camera. Talk about creating an online community for your tribe, so that it's not just about connecting with you, but it's also helping them to connect with each other and a space where they can provide that communication with each other. It might be a public space, again, like a Facebook group or a you know, LinkedIn, Google Plus, Twitter, even whatever works for you. Maybe multiple platforms. If it's very visual people, even Instagram, or you know, all the other ones out there. Facilitate that group. Seed the conversation. Encourage people to get on there and talk to each other. Try, you know, if you can, try to take it out of just, you know, this is just between you and me. Don't talk to anyone else. You know. Invite them to see you in person. That, you know, again, it's not an either or thing. It's not just online or just in person. If you're going to be someplace and, you know, within reason, don't invite them on your honeymoon. Although if you're like Morgana Ray and Devin and you get married every the other week, you might always be on a honeymoon, so you might never see anyone if you didn't see anyone when you're on a honeymoon. So, but that's the exception that proves the rule. Otherwise, if you're going to be at a public event, let people know and say, hey, you know what? Next week, I'm going to be at PLF. Next week, I'm going to be at John Fetzer Experience. I'm going to be at, you know, Mastermind of Millions. These are events coming up. Come see me. Get a hug. Because that's one thing you can't really do online is that whole oxytocin release of the physical contact of actually hugging someone for 20 seconds. So, you know, you get a hug, you get your oxytocin, you get your little O face going on. I think I'm going to start a nonprofit. I'll call it Project O-Face. Anyway, I mean about oxytocin. What do you think of him? Whatever you do, make it easy and have fun. Okay? And I think that's all I want to say for now because it's already a long video. Share your thoughts, even if it's saying, Kat, you know, you're rambling and you're talking too long, and I know that. I'll get better. Just cut me some slack here. But do go to www.webtribeguide.com/vlog, which again is a website that I have not yet created, so now I have to go do that. So sign up www.webtribeguide.com if you want to keep up on my video log. You'll find those on the video log page, and let's have fun. Thanks for coming.